Assalamu alaikum. I am Nusrat Jahan Eva. My registration number is 2018231005. Department of Economics, Shahjal University of Science and Technology. Today I am going to talk about social choice, social preference relation from the chapter Social Choice and Welfare. First, we have to know what is social choice. Social choice and welfare explores all aspects, both normative and positive, of welfare economics, collective choice, and strategic interaction. Welfare economics helps to inform the debate on social issues by forcing us to confront the ethical premises underlying our arguments as well as helping us to see their logical implications. As the name of the chapter suggests, let us know the definition of social choice first. Social choice is a theory of is an economic theory that consider whether a society can be ordered in a way that reflects individual preferences. The theory was developed by economist Kenneth Arrow and published in his book Social Choice and Individual Values in 1951. Social is a theoretical framework for analysis of combining individual opinions, preferences, interests, and or welfares to reach a collective decision or social welfare in some sense. In individual preference, there could completeness, reflexivity, transitivity be maintained, but aggregating individual preference into social preference is not easily possible. To aggregate individual preference, at first transitivity problem will arise. So, a consistent ranking of different social situations or social states is not easy. A social state can be just about anything. The election of a particular candidate to a political office, to a particular way of dividing a pie among a group of people, etc. A social choice problem arises whenever any group of individuals must make a collective choice from among a set of alternatives before them. Hence, we need a systematic framework for finding social choice and welfare function. In this slide, we will see the social preference relation. What is social preference relation? A social preference relation R is a complete reflexive and transitive binary relation on the set X of social states. For X and Y in X, we read X or Y as the statement X is socially at least as good as Y. We let P and I be the associated relations of strict social preference and social indifference respectively. Aggregation of preference. Given the preference of all individuals would like to we would like to have a way to aggregate them into one social preference to develop a social ranking of the various allocation. To aggregate individual preferences into social preference, we may use two types of aggregation. These are majority voting and ranking. Now we'll see what these terms mean. Majority voting. With a majority voting rule, one more than half of the voters must favor a measure to gain approval. For example, consider a community with three voters, Jim, Lisa, and Tom. Also, there are three choices, X, Y, and Z. Jim, Lisa, and Tom have to choose among three choices. Three voter preferences are depicted in Table 1. Here in this table, we can see each column shows how the voter ranks the choices. Suppose an election were held on whether to adopt X or Y. Jim would vote for X, while Lisa and Tom would vote for Y. Hence, Y would win by a vote of 2 to 1. Similarly, if an election held between Y and Z, Y would win by a vote of 2 to 1. So, Y wins any election against its opposition, and thus is the option selected by majority voting rule. Here one question here a question arises. Do majority voting rules always yield such clear-cut decisions? The answer is no, and thus it creates paradox known as Condorcet paradox. Condorcet's paradox. Transitivity is a criterion for consistency in social choice, but majority voting rule can fail to satisfy the transitivity requirement on R. Like the previous example, now the preference of those persons change in table 2. Here in this table, uh, in an election between X and Y, X would win by a vote of 2 to 1. If an election were held between Y and Z, Y would win by a vote of 2 to 1. Finally, an election between X and Z, Z would win by the same margin. The result is disconcerting. Here, first election suggests that X is preferred to Y, the second that Y is preferred to Z. Consistency suggests that X is preferred to Z. But in third election, just opposite occurs. This phenomenon is called Condorcet paradox, where preference relation is intransitive. With majority voting, community preferences can be inconsistent even though each individual's preferences are consistent. Majority voting can be manipulated by changing the order on which things are voted so as to yield the desired outcome. Therefore, the paradox is solved. Ranking. The method of voting involves all agents assigning numbers that indicates the ranking of the allocation. So the allocation with the smallest number is best and the largest the worst. Here in this slide, we have illustrated a possible preference ordering for those three allocations X, Y, and Z by two people. Person 1 would give X a score of 1, Y a score of 2, and Z a score of 3. Person B would give Y a score of 1, Z a score of 2, and X a score of 3. This means that X would now have an aggregate rank of 4 and Y would have an aggregate rank of 3. In this case, Y would be preferred to X by rank ordering voting. So intransitivity occurs in preference relation R. Rank order voting can be manipulated by introducing new alternatives that change the final ranks of the relevant alternatives. Both paradoxes form because of guessing behavior. However, let us give two practical examples. 1. We change preference. One political party changes their manifesto. 2. When one good is free from another good, we change ranking. In aggregating social preference, a major problem is disagreement among individuals on matter of basic values. It is not easy to find a unique choice. So, shouldn't be disagreement there? The answer is disagreement should be minimized, but it cannot be zero. This is all for today. Thanks for listening to me. Assalamu alaikum. Take care.